Yes. Short answer, yes. I think you should get Black Myth Wukong in 2025. Why is this? So, I recently went through a whole playthrough of Black Myth Wukong on PS5. It's been pretty much almost a year since it was released. Now, why do I say you should get this game? Black Myth Wukong was obviously nominated last year for Game of the Year, which unfortunately lost to Astrobot.
Astrobot!
There's obviously a lot of debate on why Astrobot won and why Black Myth Wukong didn't. There was a lot of strengths to this game that you may not have seen in many other games. I find it very difficult to give you a reference point on what this game is like in comparison to another game. It's a game of its own. I've never played a game like this before, and I've sort of put them on points. So I'm going to read out the points and let you know why I would highly suggest this game. Here is why I like Black Myth Wukong. It has breathtaking visuals and a beautiful art direction. This game is an absolute feat for the eyes. It was built in Unreal Engine 5, which is obviously the next gen quality for the next iteration of games. And the world was super vivid and detailed realizations of Chinese folklore, which is something that I really enjoyed learning about. It had, you know, lush forests to scorching desert, and different terrains, and the Unreal Engine 5 really demonstrates how those terrains look, and it just looks beautiful. So it's a game that was visually pleasing to me, and something that every single time I sort of was watching and playing the game, I was outstanding. I was honestly gobsmacked on how well it was made, and the sandboxes were incredible. My second point is essentially the fluid and dynamic combat they built for Black Myth Wukong. I'd say the combat on it is its core strength. It's very reminiscent of a Souls-like game, but a more action game. So I wouldn't really call this a core Souls game, but it does have Souls-like mechanics. Now, why I really like this is that you know, it emphasizes a lot of dodging, being very strategic with your actions, and being very precise. Because, you know, I'm sure you guys know with Souls games, you have to be very accurate and very strategic with your hits and when you should attack and when you should defend, to the point where you and the boss are fighting with minimal health. So, you know, you're both fighting for your life, essentially. This game doesn't stray away from that. It's exactly the same. You are both fighting for your life. You know, you feel like every boss fight that you do fight is an achievement in itself. Yes! Yes! Oh my god! There's a lot of variety of spells that you can be using. There's a lot of stances you can unlock, and if you beat the game a few times on New Game Plus, you can unlock special stances and secret stances and stuff like that. So I think the core combat of this game was pretty much on point, in my opinion. Another point, and I think you guys probably know, are the boss fights. The boss fights were absolutely outstanding. They're super cinematic. They're very challenging in itself, and they're visually like spectacular. Each major boss fight feels unique in its own moveset, mechanics, and design, and the sense of accomplishment after defeating a particularly tough one is honestly a high point of the game itself. What I would say is, if you do end up playing this game, please try your absolute best to get through of the side stuff. There's a lot of bosses you might miss out on, and thank God on my stream, my chat was there to help me a little bit, to direct me on where to fight, but I managed to get the true ending of the game by doing some of the side boss fights. So if there was any advice I would give you, if this is your first time playing through it, is to get through most of the side boss fights as much as you can, because there is a lot of content that you can miss if you just go through the very static standard story. And lastly, I think this game does a very fantastic job in enriching the user and bringing the world of Journey to the West to life, honestly. Journey to the West is something that I think has been sporadically given to the Western audience through films. For instance, The Forbidden Kingdom, which comes to mind. It had Jackie Chan and Jet Li. You know, there's a lot of inspiration from Journey to the West. So you can sort of tell early on that a lot of Journey to the West inspired Dragon Ball Z, which is amazing, you know. Even in the intro of the game, you can see that there's the staff, there is the Nimbus Cloud as well. So there's a lot of inspirations from other media that has taken from Journey to the West. All in all, this game does an absolute excellent job of showing off Journey to the West, the story behind it, making it a treasure trove for fans of the source material, and captivating audiences for newcomers and those that are familiar with certain aspects of that novel. And honestly, like, just coming out of this game and completing it over a number of weeks on stream as well, it was just an amazing experience for me. I won't spoil too much, as this is more of a suggestion on why you should play it. I think most of the game, I would say, was very, very, very strong. This doesn't mean there wasn't any shortfalls. I'm going to go through some now. There was some elements of the game where the storytelling was a little bit weak. There were a couple of chapters, if not just the one chapter, which gameplay is great. The story overall was amazing, but again, not all games are perfect. Some storytelling in the game were definitely hard to follow for me and weren't as captivating as some of the other chapters. Some other criticisms I had were there were some moments or unbalanced or uneven difficulty, which required you to obviously grind a little bit once you get to some boss fights, because the difficulty spike was like insane. You will need to go and explore around, get XP to make sure that you're in a good place to fight the bosses. If you go boss to boss in a very linear way, you will find it hard to fight those bosses, but that's just a very minor gripe, really. Another one, I would say, I know that was a big problem to begin with. There were some times where I found a frame drop when there was a lot going on, when I was fighting a boss or fighting some enemies. I wouldn't say it directly took me out of the experience, but there were minor things there. So I'm sure that Game Science has managed to figure that out over the year that it's been on PlayStation. And hopefully they've sorted out for Xbox when that releases on the 20th of August, which is tomorrow from filming this. So yeah, there's going to be minor stutters, but I wouldn't say it really directly takes you out of the experience. But I feel like that's a very small list of drawbacks. That isn't something that I would really focus on. Overall, I think the game is fantastic. It's something that I think someone who's really into action, really into Chinese mythology, should really get themselves into. Now, it took me about 20 to 25 hours to complete, I'd say, because, you know, again, like I said, there's boss fights, there's difficulty spikes that will take you a number of times. I do remember there was this one boss, which is something I won't spoil, but it is a secret boss. And it took me almost 3 to 4 hours alone to beat that. So if you do feel like you're not that much versed in gaming, I would say please take your time, grind a little bit to make sure that your XP is high enough to fight bosses, because once you get into a boss fight, there isn't a way to sort of really leave the boss fight. But overall, I would honestly give this game a solid 9.5 out of 10. There are some smaller gripes, but to be honest, from a game studio that has only one game, and this is their debut game, they've absolutely smashed it out of the park, and I honestly cannot wait to see what else they bring to the market, because for their first game, being a Game of the Year contendee last year is pretty much unheard of. My recommendation to you is get this game, day dot. You would have an absolute blast of a time. It gives you something that you'll never experience before. For those who have played it, let me know if you agree with my decision, my rating, what I recommended. Or those that haven't played, let me know if you are looking forward to this game. And if you do end up buying it and completing it, let me know if my review reflects on how you feel. Because, you know, I do want to do these kind of reviews after a playthrough on my streams. If you like this video, drop me a like, drop me a follow. Follow me on Twitch. I'm live on Wednesdays to Fridays. I tend to play a lot of storytelling games or story-driven action games. So if you want to see me sort of play those, please drop me a sub on my Twitch as well. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you soon.